We all know possums cause considerable damage to forests. In many areas of the country, trapping is a highly effective option for possum control and income generation. Maryland Ring New Zealand manages 3,700 hectares of Marlborough Regional Pine Forests for the Marlborough and Kaikoura District Councils. They appreciate the free pest control that trappers provide.
The Marlborough Regional Forestry is around 3,500 hectares of principally pine plantation. Part of the land holding is also native indigenous forest, and that's around the 2,000 hectare mark. By trapping not only the pine forest but the indigenous forest, they're keeping the numbers very low, and that helps us in terms of tree damage, particularly young trees. Not long after harvest you replant trees, and the possums, they'll eat the new shoots and the bark of those young trees, and they can be very destructive. So the trappers do a very, very good job for us. The two trappers we've been using for a number of years, they know what's required, they know where to go, they know how to do it. They know how to interact with other users in the forest. We have hunters, mountain bikers, horse trekking, that sort of thing, so they know where to go and how to keep out of the way. We pretty much leave them alone. We don't use 1080 in this forest. I see it as a valuable tool for remote areas, and obviously we have to think as a country of our exports and the TB situation. But around here, our trappers, they use leg hold traps, and occasionally they use cyanide, although we're not very keen on cyanide for the hunting aspect, and the other users of the forest, it's a bit of a conflict possibly, so we shy away a bit from cyanide. We get it for nothing, so there's a big win there. And of course the guys make a reasonably good living out of it. I mean, it's not their sole employment, but it's lucrative enough, and I think it's around $145 a kilo, 13 to 15 or 18 possums per kilo. It's a good ticket, so it's definitely a win-win. The other winner, of course, are some of our forest neighbours. They don't have any complaints because they don't see the possums coming out of the forest onto the pasture.
So where are you heading for today?
We'll go up to the bush, native bush there, where the road goes through there, and then back up along the boundary, up the ridge there.
Will you hit the pines today, or just mainly in the native?
Mainly in the native, but we might hit the pines at the top end. I would have caught my first possum when I was about 8. We had a few gin traps, half a dozen gin traps, and us kids used to go up in the bit of bush there behind the hut and catch them there. And I'm sure it was half a crown we used to get for the skulks. Be 52, 54, something like that. And then, sort of since then, it's just built up. And then we had a big dead patch in it. We had no buyers here, and then all of a sudden they got back into it, and then the furs started. And since the furs started, well, there's been a lot of people take it on. But there could be a lot more too, like these young fellas on the dole and that sort of thing. If they got 50 traps, got a permit, they could go out and make good money instead of sitting around. The possums are here in certain blocks, but when we started, good numbers. But with constant trapping, year after year, the numbers have just dropped to nothing. You've got to put a heap of traps out and a heap of miles to get the numbers. $150 for fur. And if you can get in a good area where there's big possums, like on the side of the sounds, it's all good possums. But you get on the other side of the sounds and they're little fellas. And it takes so many more to make them the numbers. It's one of those things, it's like a different breed of possum. It's not the tucker, I'm sure it's not the tucker, because you don't get areas there where you get the big possums. We come up, pre-feed it to suck the possums into the block, and then we just set them up off the ground, put your lure above it like it is there, and it just makes it safe for your bycatch is very little. To pluck them, you've got to have them in the trap alive, and then you bring them on to the bike and you sort of go from one trap to the next. And 2 or 3 minutes before they relax, and then you can start plucking. You start on the back legs here, and you just pluck him up. This is only a kitten, this one. He's a small possum. He doesn't have a lot of fur on him, but it's all worth money if you like to pull it off. If you get the good possums, like in a lot of the areas that is around Marlborough, is 12 to 13, you'll do a kilo. This one here is probably 18 to 20 to the kilo. You pluck this possum, it's too short in the shoulder, it's an old buck, and you wouldn't get a lot for him. You're better off to pluck him, you get more for his fur than what you would for his skin. He's not a good possum, not a good possum.
Another method used by possum trappers to harvest the fur is to paint skins with a mix of chemicals in a process called sliping.
There's a lot of areas it's a real battle to get into with traps. It's hard work when you start carrying traps. We normally carry about 50 at a time and work about 100 if I'm walking. And when you've got to start pulling them and shifting your trap line, you might end up with 60 or 70 in your pack sometimes. She's a hard slog. So some areas you'll get in there and you'll go through and feed it and poison it and get a good kill, skin the possums on the hill and bring them back and slipe them like this. These are a few poison skins. You slipe them like the night before, pluck them the next day, but pluck the fur rather than push it, because then you don't get this membrane which blocks the machine up at the fur output. It's actually burning the bottom follicle of the hair. It sort of lifts that top membrane here, but you've got to be very careful, otherwise you get a lot of membrane on it. Like I said, it blocks their machines up.
When you're trapping, you can hot pluck them on the hill or skin them. You carry your skins off, slipe them, or if you come across nice skins, you can send them away and get these tanned, and they come out very nice. They're very soft and pliable. You know, you get some skins like this you see in the shops going for $50 and $60. One like this, if you look at that skin, it's got plume on it all the way. The fur's long, there's no holes or breaks in it, they're as clean skin, and it's got fur right to its head. It's very soft and shiny skins, you know, they're good skin.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.